online contact who I had received what I would consider excellent and highly credible information from started saying things like, space is fake. I mean, I laugh thinking about it now. But, yeah, my father actually used to work for NASA. So crazy. And I remember telling my husband, like, this is so crazy. Why is this colleague saying this? He's not making himself look very credible or smart or so. And yet I found it intriguing. And because I respected the source so much, I decided to investigate his claims.
At first, I laughed at the fucking thought that someone would even think that the Earth is even fucking flat today with us going to the moon and all that stuff. But when you dabble in this shit, you come to find out that, you know, the moon fucking landings is almost a fucking joke. And this is me saying this. I'm an average Joe. I don't got no motherfucking, you know, PhDs or none of that shit. This is just common sense. If you watch the NASA motherfucking Apollo missions in today's day and age, in 2016, and matter of fact, you show a motherfucking kid that wasn't even born, that was born in the year 2000, these fake ass fucking videos, they're gonna tell you, what the fuck is this shit? This is a joke.
In September, he sent me a text message. I was at work, and said, hey man, I think the Earth is flat. Now, despite the fact that I had a lot of respect for him and thought the way that I just said that he's a genius and an expert on many different things, that one kind of took me by surprise.
So my husband and I have been kind of researching the flat Earth. And I know a lot of you guys might be asking, well, haven't we been taught in school that the Earth is round and everything? Well, it's crazy because, yeah, we've been taught all this, but we don't really question stuff like this because we've been told all these things our whole life. So to think about that you're living in a flat Earth is kind of crazy and absurd, right? But actually, once my husband and I started researching it, it actually became clear that maybe we might not be living in a round world.
You know, when I first saw flat Earth being advertised on certain websites that I look at from time to time, that's what I thought. I thought, this is nuts. You know, we all learned that we live on a globe, that the Earth is a sphere, and I had never thought to even challenge that. We're all taught that from the very beginning of our lives. Finally, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I looked at a couple videos on the flat Earth theory, and I was impressed. They were making some good points. I mentioned it then to a couple people in my family, and I was promptly ridiculed, as you can imagine.
It took me months before I would click on anything about flat Earth because it just sounded ridiculous, so stupid. But when I finally did, it was one of Rob Skiba's videos, and he had said the same thing. Like, when he first saw flat Earth information, he was like, so dumb, like, I'm not gonna look at this. I know the Earth is a globe. We've grown up knowing this. People have known this for hundreds of years. Why even question it? But I don't know, one day I finally just clicked on it, listened to Rob Skiba, and he was talking about a man named Mark Sargent. He is on YouTube as well, and he put out an amazing video series called Flat Earth Clues. If you haven't looked at these yet, or if you haven't read anything about Flat Earth, but you've been seeing people like talking about it here and there, and you just thought it was so dumb, please go look at that series. It will blow your mind.
Now, when I first got into this, and it was about April of last year, I really didn't know what to think, because it was pretty much mind-blowing. After all, I mean, I'm the son of a NASA engineer. I grew up on the Space Coast. I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s and beyond, watching the space shots in Titusville and Cape Canaveral and Merritt Island. And this was very, very hard to wrap my mind around, and it took me a long time. In addition, I'm afraid to even say anything to any of my friends over there. I mean, as my Facebook friends, I mean, I have not that many, just over 900, but over 2/3 of them are from people I went to school with, and all of us were space babies. I mean, we have parents that worked in the space industry.
Last August, I ended up coming across this video, and they were talking about the flat Earth. See, I can't help it. That's still my reaction to it. And the thing that grabbed me the most, the reason that I have continued to look into this and will continue to look into this is the math that is given to you to estimate the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. Now that means if something's 3 miles away, then you would square that, so 3 times 3 is 9, and then you would multiply it by 8 inches, which would be 72 inches. And then if you wanted it in feet, you would just divide that by 12. This is the math that's given to you by your science teachers, by science books, by NASA. This is the math. It doesn't work.
So, by the time I got to Flat Earth, I'll just give you a small indication of the amount of conspiracy theories I'd looked into. Here's a quick list. Now, there's many more, but here's a quick list. Fluoride, GMOs, vaccines, chemtrails, 9/11, Sandy Hook, Boston bombings, Paris attacks, missing flights, Illuminati, Bilderbergers, Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones, CFR, Trilateral Commission, Freemasons, Satanists, Talmudic Jews, Federal Reserve, Rothschilds, the Bloodlines, NWO, or New World Order, NASA, controlled opposition, war on drugs, war on terror, evolution, Big Bang Theory, depopulation, the origins of viruses and diseases. This is a very short summation of the amount of conspiracies I've looked into. So, when I see in my recommended, on the right, in my YouTube, when I see on the recommended side, after 3 months of looking into conspiracies, I see a video called Flat Earth. And I remember calling to my fiance who was in the other room doing work, because she's a primary school teacher, so she was doing her primary school teacher stuff, and grading papers or whatever. And I remember saying to her, and she's on the same page as me on a lot of this stuff, so I remember saying to her, there's a video on Flat Earth, what do you think? And she said, in just the most nonchalant way you would have ever thought, she just said, wouldn't surprise me, and that was it. She just called from the other room, wouldn't surprise me. And that's kind of where I was at, alright? It wasn't that I was a flat earther from the very beginning, I'm not going to say that, but I was open to it, because of the sheer amount of conspiracy that's turned out to be true.